First of all, I'm going to say something that you would never expect me to say, but I want to congratulate Mr. Minto on his apartheid fight back a few years about South Africa. Good fight, good result. But when it comes to Israel, you got it really wrong, mate.
Amen.
To be accusing Israel of being an apartheid state is rubbish.
Amen.
Absolute rubbish.
That's right.
I don't even know whether you've been to Israel or not. Some of us here have. And to accuse Israel of being an apartheid state when they have a government like ours, where they have anybody who gets voted in gets in. There's an Arab party in Israel right now that is part of the coalition that is governing the land of Israel. So how can that be an apartheid state? What rubbish. The Arabs that are in the government are still bent on the destruction of Israel. That's why they say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That means there's no room for a two-state solution. As a matter of fact, all the commentators today are saying there's no room for a two-state solution. Israel has tried for years to negotiate a two-state solution, but it's the Arabs, it's the Palestinians that have run away from the negotiating table, because what they want is something called Judenrein. If you understand what that is, Mr. Minto, that's what led to the slaughter of 6 million Jews. When you have anti-Semitic views like yours that you're propagating throughout the nation, that leads to slaughter. And to say anything else is a lie. You deal with half-truths and lies. So you need to recant what you're saying and what you're doing. You should be protesting against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Why aren't you protesting about the leaders in the Gaza Strip, the Hamas leaders in the Gaza Strip that use children as their defence shields? How do you not why aren't you protesting about that, Mr. Minto, when you've got children that are getting bombs strapped to their bodies and being told to walk out in front of the Israeli army, and the Israeli army has to respond, otherwise they get blown up.
That's right.
These people are animals, and you should be protesting against Hamas. You should be protesting against the Palestinian leadership who have what's called pay to slay. There's millions of dollars coming in to the Strip and to the Palestinian Authority, and most of that money is going to terrorists and their families to kill Israelis. Why aren't you protesting against these sort of people?
That's right.
The Palestinian people want peace.
Do you want some
The Palestinian people want peace.
In historic Palestine, everybody get equal rights. Isn't that a good thing? Everybody has equal rights. Only Jews have rights. Palestinians get the vote. What about the other 7 million Palestinians? Do they get a vote?
No, they don't. Authority, Mr. Minto. Under the Palestinian Authority. That's what they wanted. Unfortunately, the Palestinian Authority is not doing a good job at bringing them to peace with the Israelis. They are very antagonistic toward the state of Israel. That's why they haven't gone to the negotiating table for over 10 years. That is not rubbish, that is the truth.
That's historical fact which you seem to struggle with.
We stand with Israel because we stand with the truth.
These flags are symbols of
From the river to the sea, Israel will always be. From the river to the sea, Israel will always be. Israel is not an apartheid state, it's a free democracy in the Middle East. You know, one Palestinian Muslim said, I'd much rather live in Israel as a second-class citizen than as a first-class citizen in one of the Arab nations, because that's the difference. And he said there's nothing wrong with Israel. Others have come out and said the same thing as well. One person said, how dare they call the country I live in, this is an Arab Palestinian. How dare they call my country Israel an apartheid state when we have equal rights like everyone else?